So Vahe, you recall I was recently at the National Recycling Conference, and while I was there, many people commented to me that California has high quality bales. And I've heard from you that some of the buyers are concerned about bale quality. And I asked you, what is it about quality? And you said, rather than me tell you about it, Todd, why don't I show you? So here we are.
Well, Todd, there are two types of bales, dirty bales and clean bales that buyers would love to get their hands on.
What makes a quality bale that a buyer would just love?
Well, Todd, a quality bale is a bale without contamination.
How do bales get contaminated?
Well, there are multiple ways contamination could get into the bale. First, which is the most important one, is metal contamination. Second, contamination could happen during the baling operation. Third, contamination could happen if you drag the bale across the yard. The last concern is cross-contamination of the loose PET in the bunker area. So let me show it to you.
So Vahe, how does metal get into a PET bale?
Well, Todd, there are multiple ways metal can get into the PET, but we've noticed there are two areas critical of this issue. One is during baling operation. If the processor is baling scrap metal, they have to make sure the chamber is cleaned out before they bale PET. That's number one. Number two, metal could come in a roll-off. If a processor is using a roll-off previously for metal scrap, they have to make sure that roll-off is totally cleaned out before they load loose PET. If not, then when they bring the loose PET, there could be metal residue at the bottom, which will go in with the PET. That's how metal contamination could get into the PET bales.
So Vahe, how does contamination occur during baling?
Well, Todd, there's two ways contamination could happen during baling operation. First, we have to make sure there's an inspector monitoring what goes on the conveyor. And if there's any contamination, the inspector will pull out. The second area, the baler operator must control what goes into the chamber. And they have to make sure there's no other contaminants or other types of material in the chamber prior of baling PET.
Vahe, we just saw the bale being ejected out of the baler. How do we make sure those bales stay clean?
Well, Todd, the first thing we have to make sure is the forklift operator picks up the bale without dragging it on the ground. If you drag the bale on the ground, you're going to grab oil, dirt, all sorts of contamination that's on the ground. We want to keep the bale above the ground and transport it to its final destination.
How does cross-contamination occur at bunkers?
Well, Todd, first thing we have to make sure the bunkers are established properly, meaning there won't be any holes or gaps. If that is done, there won't be any mixing of other material in with PET.
So Vahe, why is the final inspection so important?
Well, the final inspection is very important because we want to make sure the processor is delivering the highest quality bales to the buyer. And the way they do that is forklift operator is trained to inspect all four sides to look to see if there's any obvious contaminations. And then they will load it and it's on its way to the buyer.
So Vahe, is there anything else we need to know about contamination?
Well, Todd, if all the suppliers follow these recommendations, the end results will be quality bales.